Welcome to Mission Viejo Today. I'm your host, Mayor Trish Kelley, and I'm here today to talk about a very serious issue. All year long, students at high schools throughout Orange County take part in homecoming, school dances, getting together with friends, prom nights, graduation parties, and summer fun. There's always something going on. During these times, we like to have an emphasis on raising the awareness about the dangers of driving under the influence. We're fortunate that one individual brought a very unique program to our Orange County high schools to raise awareness of this life-threatening issue, and that is through staging mock DUI crashes right on the school campuses. Today, I will be talking with Captain Paramedic Steve Concialdi, who's also the Public Information Officer for the Orange County Fire Authority. Steve is a paramedic, and he is the founder of FAD, Friends Against Drinking and Driving. Steve, I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor Kelley.
I would like to talk to you a little bit about the mock DUI crashes, as we call them, and find out what they are and why did you bring them?
Well, the mock DUI crashes are a reenactment of an actual crash that occurred right here in Saddleback Valley in the late 80s. In this accident, there were some teenagers. They were going to a winter formal dance. They were drinking. They only had a few miles to go until they were home, and they got in a serious accident where 2 people were killed, 3 of them were seriously injured, and the drunk driver was arrested. We've recreated that scene in these mock DUI crashes, and we did the first one at Santa Margarita Catholic High School in 1991, and we just had our 86th mock crash yesterday at Laguna Hills High School.
86 mock crashes that are done in front of high school students on their campus. That is incredible. I have actually attended a number of them, almost every one that's occurred in Mission Viejo over the last 11 years while I've been on the council. And every time I attend, you can just feel the emotion. Although it's an enactment of an incident, it feels like real life. It looks like real life. Now, how did you get involved with organizing these?
Well, when I was in high school, I did a senior project on drinking and driving. So I put together a slideshow that was very successful. And then I basically started showing that around. I had some friends that said, hey, show me your presentation and so forth. Then when Santa Margarita opened up, they asked me, will you do this? Because the principal left Mater Dei High School, where I attended, went to Santa Margarita High School, and a couple years later asked me, hey, can you do your slide presentation to the high school? So I did that. It was very well received, and I started doing it at a couple of junior highs in the area, a couple more high schools, and then in the spring of 1991, Santa Margarita High School said, hey, let's do something different. We've had a MAD come out before and put a crash car with a description of the accident, but can we do something different? So I was getting a lot of my photos and a lot of help from the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, and their capital officer, Officer Ken Daly. And so he pulled out this video, which was like a play that a high school did back east, which was a little basic reenactment. And he said, I think we could put something together here. So I met with Dan Young, our public information officer from the fire department, met with a couple of our battalion chiefs, CHP, the sheriff's department, and Mission Hospital, and it was Gloria Lee and Connie Stallcup at the time, and basically we put all this together and we did our first mock DUI crash at Santa Margarita High School in May of 1991.
So it's been 23 years, and you've continued, and you do 3 to 5 a year.
Right.
That is incredible that it has lasted so long. I want to hear a little bit about exactly what happens. We call this a mock DUI crash. Tell me what happens.
Well, they're extremely graphic and they're realistic. We have it down to every single person. They know their role, they do their role. So from the fire department aspect to paramedics treating patients to our truck companies extricating a trapped person in the back seat to law enforcement, CHP and the Orange County Sheriff's Department doing an accident investigation, arresting the drunk driver, doing field sobriety tests. And how it starts out is the two cars are covered up with tarps. One of the cars is overturned and we have two people ejected from that car. One of those patients is dead. The other patient has serious injuries. The second car, we have the drunk driver who has some minor injuries. His date has gone into the windshield because she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. And then there's one person in the back seat that's trapped. And then we have a girl that plays this emotional, hysterical girl that's running around and can't believe it. And then we just start bringing in the police agencies, the Orange County fire units. Then we, about 2/3 of the way into it, we bring in the mom, which happens nowadays. People are texting, and sometimes the parents show up within minutes of our arrival, and they want to know how their son or daughter's doing. So we also bring in these TIP volunteers, trauma intervention program, which are wonderful volunteers, and then our chaplains, and they provide the grief support, the counseling. They help our firefighters and paramedics work on the scene. They allow the CHP officers and the sheriff's deputies to do what they need to do. And then all this is transpiring. And then once the second ambulance leaves, doctor's ambulance and medic's ambulance, they've both been very supportive in this program over the years. Once the second ambulance leaves, then the drunk driver is center stage with either the CHP officer or the sheriff's deputy, and he does field sobriety tests. And then it transpires, once he's arrested, we have some bystanders that are in there. They're upset at the drunk driver, they're yelling to him. And then at the very end, we have O'Connor Mortuary, which is another partner with Orange County Fire Authority and Friends Against Drinking and Driving. And they come in with the two DOAs, and they'll pick up the female DOA while a couple of students are reading obituaries of the two deceased. And it's very moving. We play sad music, I Will Remember You. It's very touching. You'll see the audience crying. People will be upset. And O'Connor Mortuary carefully lifts up the deceased girl, puts her in a body bag, zips her up, and then slowly rolls her off. And it's a powerful presentation, and we get invited back every year at the school because they say, out of all the presentations they do, it's the most impactful that these students will see in their lives. And it's not just the drinking and driving, it's street racing, it's distracted drivers, it's texting while driving. It's all those things that as firefighter paramedics, we see this on a daily basis, not a weekly basis, on a daily basis, from the texting, from the distracted drivers, the street racing, and the drinking and driving. These accidents happen so often, and you might only hear about the big ones, the fatalities, but every day we respond to these accidents.
This truly then is a collaborative effort between you, your Friends Against Drinking and Driving Foundation, your role as an Orange County firefighter, paramedic, and bringing in all of the other agencies that you mentioned, everything from police to the hospital to our TIP volunteers and the chaplains. And it's amazing that you've been able to pull together all of those resources to be able to work together to present such a powerful presentation program. And I know, just having watched these presentations, I know what an impact there is. In fact, to me, I feel like I'm on the scene of a real crash, a real accident. You hear the emergency responders talking over their radios, and you hear the police come in and their radios, and it feels just like you're really there. Do you think the students, even though it's a mock DUI, do you think the students have a sense of that reality like I felt?
Right. When we're doing these presentations, they look very realistic. And I'll look up at the audience and I'll see them, and I could tell they're intent. Some of them have tears in their eyes. They're quiet. And when we did El Toro High School 2 years ago, it was raining. It was sprinkling. Not one kid complained, not one student laughed or got distracted. And when we see that, even though there is something out of the ordinary, we're getting sprinkled on, and their intent to that program, and then we get feedback. People will call us, stop afterwards and talk to us, or send emails or letters. It's helping. And it helps with you by doing your social ordinance in the city, because we're trying to educate the parents too. It starts with them. You do not need to serve alcohol to your teenagers to be cool, to be the cool parents. So often these kids will find ways, and if the parents allow them to drink and then drive, even if they think, oh, I'll just take the keys away, what happens is inevitably somebody else leaves, or they get into a little spat with somebody, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody takes off, and then we have these accidents, and then it's the tragedies. And as a public information officer, the hardest job for me is to deal with the real life stories. Behind every fatal accident, there's a family, there's a real person, and it affects a lot of people dramatically.
They truly do, and you really hit on an important aspect in mentioning the social host ordinance. In Mission Viejo in 2008, I led the effort to pass a social host ordinance here, which would prohibit and give our police officers teeth in enforcing the law against serving alcohol to underage drinkers. So we see ourselves as a partner with your department, with the sheriff's department. We're able to make an impact in that way, because my research showed that much of the teen drinking takes place in homes, either in the child's home or the minor's home, or at the home of a friend. So working together, we're able to bring different parameters around this. We can visualize it through your programs. We can raise awareness through the social host ordinance and bring accountability, because the host of a event that serves alcohol to underage children will be penalized. We really have way too many teen accidents and fatalities, and I'm so pleased that we're able to work together to bring that to a close and to close that gap. I do have a video that we would like to show to our audience, and this will actually be a mock DUI, which was done at Capistrano Valley High School. It happened to be the 85th mock DUI crash that Steve and his group put on. I want our audience to please be aware that these are students who are acting the parts, but this is based on a real accident scene.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Chance, and I'm at Capistrano Valley High School in Mission Viejo, California. Now, the students here are teaming up with an organization called FAD, Friends Against Drinking and Driving. And what they're doing today is they're getting together to show the dangers of teenage drinking and driving by staging a mock DUI crash. Now, we're here to help them tell their story by covering this as if it were a breaking news story. But please keep in mind, what you're about to see is just a reenactment and not the real thing. I'm Jonathan Chance in Mission Viejo, California. We've just come on scene of a horrible accident involving a couple of vehicles. You can see one of the cars right here behind me. I'm going to get out of the way. Looks like the Orange County Fire Authorities moving in along with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. The accident occurred in a parking lot just off Via Escolar near Marguerite Parkway. Authorities say students from Capistrano Valley High School were involved in the accident.
Don't die! Bailey, no, you're okay. No, Bailey.
This is an absolutely horrible crash here in Mission Viejo. A lot of things going on around us. We've got firefighters treating some of the victims. Tyler, let's plan over on the other side. They're doing a cut rescue right here. Clergy and crisis volunteers comforted family and friends of the crash victims.
No!
2 dead kids, lots of hurting. I'm going to spend the rest of my day at the hospital with the families of the dead, with the families of those who are seriously injured. That driver that was arrested, his family will never be the same either.
Firefighters are calling this a cut rescue. We've got one vehicle overturned. They're trying to free someone that's trapped in a vehicle. Right now, they're transporting one of the victims of this accident to Mission Hospital. The accident may have been alcohol related, according to authorities.
I pulled up on scene. I noticed the odor of an alcoholic beverage, spoke with the young man who was driving one of the vehicles, put him through some field sobriety tests, and he was arrested. Anyone under the age of 21 actually has zero tolerance, so any alcohol, they will be arrested for driving while intoxicated. The driver was charged with 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter, and there's possibly a 3rd count pending. There was another person who was transported to the hospital in critical condition.
To give you an idea of just how bad this accident is, take a look at this car door. We've got blood all over it. They've had to take the doors off this vehicle. Just an absolutely horrible crash here in Mission Viejo, California, involving 2 vehicles. And from what we're told, these are teenagers at the local high school. Reporting from Mission Viejo, I'm Jonathan Chance, City Newscast.
Just really mostly about making them more aware of what's going on and choices that they have to make, because there's a lot of peer pressure out there with other students and stuff, and what you want to do is enjoy your high school years, and you got the rest of your life to make those more adult decisions. At this age, I think these kids they think they're invincible, but about making the right choices. And I talked a little bit about Nick Adenhart, what happened to him 4 years ago, and promising future, and it was taken away from him and 3 others in the vehicle, really, from a drunk driver that just had no conscience of or respect for anybody else's life.
Being here today and seeing this, I sat there and I had tears come to my eyes, because you see these young people that are out driving, drinking and driving and hurting other people, and we hope that today will make a difference in their lives, that they don't go on and continue to do these things. If you notice that they're drinking too much, take their keys away from them. And it's like Mike said, we all have cell phones. Call someone so that we don't endanger our friends that are there with us or endanger other people that are out driving.
This is so very important to the city of Mission Viejo. I know that this is a service for our kids, our Mission Viejo kids, that they can see this event, which is based, as we all know, on a true event, and that they can feel the impact of what happened and just have a measure of maybe a little more wisdom, a little more judgment as they go through their lives.
Teens come up to you and they tell you stories. Like this one young lady told me about a time when they had just done one of these mock crashes, and they were at a party and somebody tried to leave, and she said, we remembered the crash and we went up and we got the keys from our friend, and he didn't drive home. And that's what you live for.
FAD's mission is to educate teenagers and young adults on the adverse effects of drinking and driving, and to motivate them through horrific accidents like this not to drink and drive, not to text and drive, not get in a car with somebody that's racing. These are real life tragedies that these students witness, and if they can learn from somebody else's mistakes, it's going to save so much grief and heartache for the rest of their lives.
Welcome back to Mission Viejo Today. We're talking about the serious subject of teen drinking and driving, and we were just able to view a program that was put on last year at Capistrano Valley High School, which was a mock DUI crash put together by our guest today, Steve Concialdi, captain paramedic with Orange County Fire Authority. Steve, are the mock DUI programs relative to our kids today, to our teens, and do you think they actually help to bring across the message of safety and what they should and should not be doing?
I think they're very effective. Even if we save one life over the years, it's worth it. But we work with a core group, the student actors that act in it, and then when we do the every 15-minute program, there are living dead kids that get pulled out of class every 15 minutes. So when we have meetings with them, we emphasize, if you're going to do this, you have to take this seriously, you need to be responsible and set a good example. So that's our core group, and from there we build on the program. And when we do these presentations, a lot of times you could hear a pin drop. The students are intent, they're watching it, some of them cry, some are upset, And then I've been doing these since 1991, so we'll be at a baseball game or we'll be at a wedding, and I'll run into people that I dealt with that played and acted in some of these, or they'll just, recently we were at a wedding and they were talking about the mock DUI crash because it was in May, and they said, I still remember our high school's crash and it scarred me for life. I still remember that. And it was funny because my wife said, do you remember Steve? You know, Steve puts those on. And then the person goes, oh, was that you out there? You know, so we know it reaches a lot of people. We get comments from parents and teachers and faculty and anything we could do. Because it's not just the drinking and driving. Again, it's the texting, it's being distracting, street racing, all those things. When you're younger, you think you're invincible. Nothing is ever going to happen to you. Well, we've shown, and I've seen personally, bad things happen all the time to people. So if we could just change some behavior or make people think before they act, I believe we're saving lives.
Oh, that's so true. And as I say many times, good kids make bad decisions, and that happens. It just does happen. And I truly believe that you are saving lives with these programs. When I look at the program that we just showed at Capistrano Valley High School, the Mock DUI Crash Assembly there, I was there. And as I go to these events, I like to watch the program, but to turn and look at the faces of the students and the parents and the teachers, and it is shock, it is tears. And this last one that we just showed at Capistrano Valley High School, I happen to know two of the students who were acting in the program, and to see them, my little friends, covered with blood and going through this trauma. And of course I knew the mothers too, and I spoke with the mothers afterwards, and they were crying. They were like, this really had an impact on them. So I can understand that this program sheds light. It brings a real life situation to right in front of their eyes, and horrified as they may be, it gives them a visual of what actually happens. And not only that people can get hurt, but I like the aspect of showing what happened to the teen who was the driver. He had had a few drinks, probably thought he was fine to drink. He was arrested. His life was changed forever. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the program, your DUI crash programs are based on a real life incident that happened years ago. So this is not something that's made up. It's something that happened and happens, as you said, again and again and again. Do you see this often in your job?
Well, as a paramedic, we have crashes every day, and a lot of them are texting. It's people that are being distracted. They're texting, or they're driving too quick. Anytime we have rain, these accidents occur often, daily. And then the drinking and driving, we get those throughout. And I've told my kids, nothing good ever happens after midnight. And I see that often. And you might be sober, you might be driving, but if you're in like my position now as a public information officer, I have to deal with all the horrific accidents. And we get fatal accidents weekly, sometimes daily here in Orange County, on the freeways, on the streets. And so we're just trying to help educate people, not just with the drink and driving, but again, the texting, street racing, slowing down, wearing your seatbelt. So many more people would be alive today if they wore their seatbelt. Because these cars are built great now. There's airbags, all kinds of safety, protection in the cars. But if you're going at a high rate of speed and you hit a wall or a car or a tree, most likely you're going to die because your body can't handle that force hitting a solid object.
That is so frightening. It really is. And I know that you see it, you deal with it every day. There's no doubt to me about the value of these mock DUI crashes that you've been performing and presenting for our County for the last 23 years. But I wonder, how do you fund these programs? How are they funded?
Well, we've been doing these, again, since 1991 on a shoestring budget. We have a great group that helps. So the Orange County Fire Authority, the Sheriff's Department, CHP, Mission Hospital, the ambulance companies, doctors and medics, the TIP volunteers, O'Connor Mortuary. So they're giving in-kind donations. They're providing the bodies, and then we'll get small donations from the school or from State Farm. Our local Mission Viejo, Richard Dong here in Mission Viejo, just recently gave us a very nice donation. And some of the Allstate in the past has given us, but over the years when the schools can't fund it, then I fund it. It's something that's been a passion of mine for many years. I've been very fortunate to have a wonderful job with the Orange County Fire Authority for close to 25 years, and I've just been very blessed. So it's something that I could do to give back just to my community. I was raised in Mission Viejo. We moved here in early 1975 in Mission Viejo, and so I've lived in the city for many years. And there's such a wonderful group of FAD volunteers that have been with us from the beginning, and even back to 1995, 2000. Joel McLean, who plays our radio paramedic, he's been doing this since 1995, does an outstanding job. Mark Brenner was at the very first one before he was even a firefighter with us in 1991. And then some of the other volunteers like Sean Dorn and John Mudd, who went to high schools around here, that are helping. Mike Sheehan. There's just some great guys that grew up in this area that want to give back. So when they go to the different high schools, so yesterday there were a whole bunch of Hawks at Logan Hills High School, or when we go to Mission Viejo High School, there's Diablos. Kim Noble, who graduated from in Mission Viejo High School, and then Don Hill, one of our dispatchers. These same people help at all of these Mock DUI crashes because they grew up here in Orange County. They lost friends in high school and in college, and they all want to give back to the program.
I know I had asked you about the funding as I watched your different programs, and you told me that funding is difficult. You needed sound equipment and all, and I know that I went to some of the schools and asked the PTAs for help. Right. But if any of our viewers today are watching and would like to help with this wonderful mission, they may contact you on the websites that we've shown, the fadd-ca.org. And Steve, it's been just so enlightening to talk with you about this today. I think by just showing this program, we are saving lives. Right. And I thank you for the work you do every day, literally going out and saving lives. And the work you've done in this program, this crash assembly, that saves lives that we don't even know about. We'll never know the lives that have been saved through the work that you've done through the assemblies. And I want to thank all of you for joining us, for tuning in to Mission Viejo Today.